Good morning, YouTube. I saw another interesting list on Jalopnik, which seems to be the place of bad choices as far as when it comes to lists. But this one was telling its audience, they were asking them to pick one car that they have to drive for the rest of their lives. They don't get to switch, only one car, and it is forever. You are just glued to it until you die.
I feel like my tastes have changed throughout learning about cars and just new cars coming out, so it's hard to just pick one car.
So when you were 16, what would it have been?
Well, a Mitsubishi Eclipse.
Really?
Yeah, a convertible, of course.
Yeah.
Come on, that's like a 16-year-old girl car.
And I probably would have been like a Hummer H2 or something, very silly. And Neelix's butt is, anyway, that doesn't smell very good. But Jalopnik's list is, well, interesting.
Yes.
As usual. So they have a list of 10 or so cars that the readers sort of polled with. The very first one is the Ford Super Duty. So like an F-250 with all the tech. Basically, it's the saddest answer ever, but it's basically all the technology you'll ever need.
Right.
It'll allow them to do all the projects for the house property. It'll just do anything.
But you have to be rich to have that, because the fuel economy is going to be awful.
I suppose.
Truck
for
is
long
so
road
heavy.
trips, it would be tough, but as far as just getting everything done, one vehicle for everything for the rest of your life and keeping it going, Ford F-150 is probably a pretty logical choice.
Yeah, okay.
Not the most exciting.
So that was number 10 on the list that people voted. All right.
Well, this isn't really a vote, it's just their list.
Okay.
So next is the Fiesta ST, which I think is a terrible choice.
Who said that?
I mean, it's just, it says it's reasonably easy to work on, fun to drive, good parts availability.
Yeah.
So I get that as another practical one. Way better than, say, a GTI as far as keeping that going. A hot hatch is pretty practical. So once again, a rational choice here.
I don't know. It was terrible. I think it should die in a dumpster fire.
I mean, if you're going for hot hatch, I'd probably go to a full-size wagon, just personally. But just one for the rest of your life, you might as well spring for it.
A Prius?
So the Prius Prime, a plug-in hybrid.
Right.
Which I guess makes a lot of sense as far as it lasting for a very long time. The Priuses have proven to do that. And this one does have a lot of cool tech that usually with Toyota's ages pretty well.
Right, but we haven't tested the hybrid electric cars for a long time. And we're talking about cars that you can drive for the rest of your life. I don't know if this can handle the test of time. Right?
Prius is pretty durable.
Yeah.
The new one's very good looking. I could get on board with this. I could see this if someone who, doesn't really care about cars all that much and just wants, great fuel economy, reasonable practicality, looks okay, good tech.
Okay.
That's a good choice. The Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 5 is not.
They look cool though, come on.
Of all of them, why that one? Let's see what they say. I already have it, a Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 5. It's great in all weather conditions, has 4 doors, manual transmission, pretty quick stock, handles beautifully, decent sized trunk, etc., etc. Fortunately, I don't have to own only one car, so it's my weekend fun car. So you're saying your weekend fun car would be the one car you drive for the rest of your life?
Yeah, well, you want to have fun, you want to enjoy it, I get it. It sort of looks like a...
But wouldn't you go for like the end of the line Evos, I feel like, 8, 9, 10, and get a lot more power, practicality, comfort than, say, this one?
I think it looks cool. You don't like them. It looks like a little bit like the Acura Legend, like back in the day. Like,
weird
I think
choice.
it's cool.
And this is another weird choice.
No, this is where it's at. This
a Land
would be
Cruiser
fun.
FJ40.
Yeah, that would be so fun.
You want basically a bare bones utilitarian lumber truck to just rattle you apart. Yeah, it'll last the rest of your life.
That's what I'm saying.
Of course.
You can fix it easily. You don't have to ship it off somewhere special to get
nothing
special
to
parts
break
for
in
it. This is where it's at.
I suppose, yeah, if it were the end of the world and all production, basically the whole world shut down and you couldn't get anything, well, this would be it because everything's super simple, mechanical, rebuildable. Logical choice, but then really rough. I would go with probably a newer Land Cruiser if I was going to be in the Toyota realm, just to have something a little more comfortable and practical.
What year is this one?
FJ40s, they were made for a really long time, so it could span, from when it came out, I think in the 60s,
but
till
they don't
made
have
it for a long time.
specific years, they're saying.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So, the Volvo V60 Recharge is another one. So, I think a plug-in hybrid Volvo wagon, which is what I was saying earlier, how if you're going to go hot hatch, you might as well, for one car for the rest of your life, go full-size wagon.
Yeah.
So, I don't think Volvo, though.
No.
Maybe an old 240 brick might have been the logical choice way back when, because people did drive those for 30, 40 years for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Neelix is okay, finally Neelix is leaving the chat. That might be a record for Neelix just pacing the table while we're talking.
She doesn't like the Volvo.
But plug-in hybrid Volvo, which is on list for the most unreliable cars, at least the XC version, I think the electric one.
Right.
Probably not a good choice. Porsche 911, I think, is a great choice.
Of course.
One sports car for the rest of your life, if you're going to have a sports car, absolutely.
Well, the question is, what's one car? That's not sports car, it's just one car, which this would be great and fun, but like if it's snowing, you're screwed.
Get one with all-wheel drive.
Oh, and that you think that'll cut through the snow?
Get one with all-wheel drive. Get a Dakar if you're off-roading.
Yeah.
Get a big roof rack to haul things, I suppose,
and
right?
a winch on the front.
Yeah.
Perfect.
The Audi RS6 Avant is on here. I think somebody's just trolling because it's one of the most unreliable cars ever. It's very cool, but like,
no.
Absolutely not.
No.
Dodge Challenger.
What?
I mean, that's
Did
probably...
they pay to be on this list?
No, I mean, it's
Come
a pretty
on.
solid car as far as like being able to keep it going for the rest of your life.
There's no room. There's no room in the back. Like it's just small. This is a sports car.
I could get on board with a
Okay.
Challenger.
No.
Yes, I could get on board with that.
No.
The TLX Type S, I know nothing about.
Right.
But okay, a Honda
Right.
makes sense.
I think it's a cool looking car.
The Porsche Panamera GTS Sport
Ooh.
Turismo, once again, wagons, I think, that is the way to go.
See, out of everything on the list, I'm going here right now, but I feel like it's going to be really expensive to maintain it throughout its life.
It would be tough. There's a lot of tech in there, yeah. And then the BMW 328i Sport Wagon, the E90 chassis, something Jake loves, but basically getting the base spec. When it comes to BMWs, the base engine seems to be the way to go.
Yeah.
So a 328, I see what they're doing. Let's see the caption. Basically, 328 Sports Wagon, 6-speed rear-wheel drive car. Only 450 were sold in the U.S.
Oh.
So they actually did exist.
No, they're getting fancy here with rare cars.
But yeah, base engine with BMWs, the under stress seemed to last the longest. Manual transmission, rear-wheel drive, very basic, simple to keep going. I could get on board with that, most certainly. But we're winding it down. Chevy Suburban, I think, is how they round it out.
I mean, you could live in it. So if you want a car for the rest of your life and something bad happens and you need a space to live, you could.
The newer Suburbans, though, just aren't the same as the older ones as far as it lasting forever with the cylinder deactivation and all the tech and things. I would go probably a bit older.
Yeah.
Not much past 14 or 15.
Yeah.
But that sort of gets into what we think would be a car that we would want to drive for the rest of our lives.
Oh.
And April's is obvious. But other than the obvious...
No, I don't think you know mine because it's a fairly new find. Recently that I saw. That caught my eye. A beautiful, glorious car.
I know what she's talking about because she's been showing it to me pretty much every day. It did finally sell, didn't it?
I love it. Oh my gosh, you're gonna die. El Camino Grand National with GNX badging, wannabe GNX. Like, this is a real thing. And it actually happened and it sold for $27,000.
Right.
Please tell me that you bought it.
No.
Please tell me that was you.
No, I did not. I can't even find it. I think it deleted itself from the internet.
No, it did
somewhere.
not. It's absolutely breathtaking and beautiful.
Yeah, 1987 Buick Regal bodied 86 Chevrolet El Camino.
Glorious.
So started life as an El Camino with a 305 in it. So it's not even the turbocharged 3.8.
Tell me that's not the most beautiful thing you've ever seen in your entire life. Don't lie to me.
It's goofy.
Be honest.
It's very goofy.
It's
but
glorious.
I guess if for you and your gardening habit to be able to go to the garden store with your
True.
El Camino thing, but obviously you would want the Grand National turbo engine in it, right? If you were building this yourself.
Well, you should have it, but I'm imagining that something, got messed up. It's not a turbo T,
Well, no,
right?
it started as an El Camino, but they put the Regal stuff on it. Yeah. But they didn't do the Grand National stuff, the GNX stuff. They didn't do the engine, any of the drivetrain stuff. So it's still the 305 in it. But if you would basically build your own custom creation for the car that you drive for the rest of your life, right?
I just feel like sometimes you fantasize about things in your head, but they could never come true. Like there's no possible way. Wait a minute, it's right here. It's like a figment of my imagination that came to life. This is the most glorious thing ever. But yeah, you're right. The Grand National engine, would be a little bit better if it had
Okay,
that.
but how about a real car that exists and not something that
This is a
dude
real
built
car
in
that exists.
I know, but that was in production for real.
Okay.
What would that be?
Who bought this, by the way? $27,000.
Not me. Sorry.
If, hit me up. Let's go for a ride. Would you be jealous? Sorry, I didn't mean to say it like that. I kind of winked, but I didn't mean to. It's just I'm very excited about the car. Am I in trouble right now?
Well, why don't we move on to my pick then?
Okay. What's your car?
My top two,
Yeah.
which both cars that exist, I think a Mercedes E63 wagon would be a great car to drive for the rest of your life.
Right.
Get one with all-wheel drive, maybe this current generation, and I do feel like that would be a fantastic car for everything. You know, 600 horsepower, V8 to track, to haul things. You have the long roof and all the storage. You have all the comfort, all the tech. It just does everything. But I wouldn't want to keep that thing running forever and dealing with all the maintenance and things, so it probably would just go back to Old Faithful out there, the 2005 Escalade.
Oh, the one that's been sitting in the driveway since you got the Cybertruck, and you've been driving the Cybertruck every day and forgot about your
I
old
haven't
girl.
forgotten about it.
Because she's outside just
I haven't
baking
forgotten
in the
it.
sun.
She's been in the barn
neglected.
for a while, but no, it's sort of
Neglected.
transitioning into one of my collector showpieces, I suppose, or whatever.
You just
But,
called your '05 Cadillac Escalade a collector.
oh, mark my words. Well, it already is. There's that Pat McAfee that went crazy about one when he bought it at auction, at a
No.
collector car auction. So, yeah. Well, okay, so what's your real choice other than the El Camino?
I just those first generation Blazers, I think would be really,
like a
really
K5
cool.
Blazer?
Yeah, like a K5 Blazer.
So we're in the
Plus-
same vein, because mine's just a little bit newer. The Escalade's sort of the continuation
Yeah.
of that chassis.
Right,
Full-size truck Chevy
I guess
chassis.
so, but just like those cool, they've got really good looks, and you're never going to have really serious maintenance problems because you can always figure it out. You can always find someone to
Right.
work on them.
I think the full-size Blazer is perfect, because like if you get the early Bronco,
Yeah.
it's a lot more rough like that Land Cruiser, but the
Yeah.
Blazer was really good. Like it has a
Right.
nice ride to it. It's comfortable.
Yeah.
It's good air
You
conditioning.
can always, there's no rules to the question, right? You can always resto-mod it, restore it, do anything you want to it, right?
I mean, the fuel-injected 350 would be a good engine for that.
Yeah.
I think that's a really solid choice, actually.
Oh, thank
as far as
you.
simplicity and also just rust would be the thing.
Am I in trouble for the El Camino?
Oh, absolutely.
comment?
We're going to have a talk. So anyway, thank you so much for
So much
watching.
trouble.
No, you're fine. I did get the Grand National and take you to...
You did. The
Florida Keys.
And the Grand National.
if it was in that El Camino...
I would have proposed to you in 2 seconds.